Imagine the cameras filming, the lights going out, and a deafening silence that sounds like hearts breaking. All at once, rumors started to fly like wildfire. Rumor has it that there is a horrible secret that might ruin friendships and marriages. The attention is now on Ty, who has been upset by rumors that Evelyn and her husband are expecting a child. That is startling, isn't it? The fans don't believe it. Additionally, the internet is in utter chaos. From tragic camera footage to enigmatic social media posts, every indication points to something deeper, something more sinister than anybody could have imagined. Chantel never shied away from telling the truth, said that Ty's marriage was in jeopardy and intervened to put a spark under this shocking revelation. And the permanent look on Ty's face as the truth came out. One dot. Tonight, viewers are left wondering who to believe and what to trust as we delve into the whirlpool of betrayal, loyalty, and grief. Is the biggest secret being kept by Evelyn? Is Ty's marriage really in ruins? Or is there still hope in the midst of all this chaos? This kind of drama cannot be ignored, so buckle up. Because of her perseverance, Ty has always been admired. She was towering no matter how fierce the storm raged around her. She was calm and powerful, and she was the glue that held her family together. But even the strongest person may crumble when the foundation of their life begins to crumble. And that night, the cracks could no longer be hidden. The rumors that Evelyn was hiding something that may destroy Ty's whole worldview had been growing for weeks. But no one had the courage to say it out. Then followed the always fiery and blatantly honest Chantel. She was the one who spoke out when the silence got unbearable. Her voice shook the room, sharp yet hesitant, like someone dropping a bomb they knew would blow everything apart. It was more than a mere allegation, and she turned to Evelyn and said, "You can't hide this any longer." It was a sentence. There was a pause. Everyone froze as if time itself had paused to listen. Marcus, Ty's wife, shifted uncomfortably in his chair. His jaw tensed, and his hands balled into fists as if he thought he could hold the truth in his palms and keep it from escaping. But the truth finds a way through. No matter how hard you attempted to hide it, those who saw the situation unfold couldn't believe it. Many leaned closer to their TVs, their hearts pounding, while others rushed to their phones to tweet and post about what they thought could be occurring. Hashtags pertaining to Ty, Evelyn, and Chantel began to surface in real time as the tension in that room reached a boiling point. Then Chantel spoke the words that changed everything. She is carrying more than one pregnancy. The kid is Marcus's. It seemed as if lightning had struck the room. Ty's face went blank for a while as her mind tried to take in what she had just heard. Confusion came first, followed by shock and finally pain, so deep that her face appeared to turn pale. Nothing came out of her mouth when she opened it to speak. Finally, she was able to speak, but it was only a faint whisper. "You mean she's with my husband?" The silence that followed was deafening. Evelyn, who was usually quick-witted, passionate, and fiery, remained still. She didn't argue. She didn't refuse. Her fist trembled against her lap as her eyes fell to the floor. For the first time in years, Evelyn was silent, and her silence was more insistent than any denial. The friends in the room gasped. One put her hands over her mouth. The jigsaw pieces had always been there. The strange stares, the hushed phone calls, the uncomfortable tension whenever Marcus and Evelyn were together. But someone else insisted. No, this can't be real. Finally, the picture was shown, and it was ugly. Marcus's voice was low and unsteady when he ultimately tried to speak. "It's not what it looks to be," he stuttered, his eyes nervously bouncing between Evelyn and Ty. However, Ty lost her rage and her voice cracked. "Then Marcus, tell me what it is, because it feels like my marriage is a fake at the moment." Their comments cut through the air like a blade. Marcus opened his mouth to speak, but remained silent. They caught him. Ty knew it to publish on social media, and he knew it. Already the storm was well begun. Clips within minutes, hundreds of people had heard Ty's trembling voice. Some fans came out for Chantel, claiming that Ty should be told the truth, no matter how painful it was. Others, however, blamed Chantel of wrecking a marriage merely to make a sensation. Despite the divides in the world, everyone was captivated in the tale. Ty's mother, who was seated nearby, rushed to join her daughter. She threw her arms around Ty tightly and murmured comforting words into her ear, while her tears fell freely. "How could you do this to me?" Ty said, looking directly at Evelyn as she finally let out a tremulous scream. "This is not what I expected to happen." Eventually, Evelyn replied, her voice trembling and weak. "You knew what he meant to me. We were supposed to be family. I never intended to upset you, but her comments just made Tai even more furious. Chantel stood with her arms crossed and glared at Evelyn. If you had no intention of hurting her, why didn't you stop? Why not inform anyone? As she moved about, you let her grin. I noticed you had stuff in your tummy, she spoke brutally. She became quite irritated. Tai's sorrow gave way to anger. She stood up suddenly and wiped the tears from her cheeks, her voice becoming louder as her body shook. I trusted you. She turned to Marcus and gestured to Evelyn, adding, I trusted you more than anything. Do you realize what you did to me? To us, to all we made. There was deceit in her remarks. Marcus and Evelyn lacked the courage to answer. Friends urged her to relax, take a deep breath, and wait for everything to calm down in an effort to calm her. Unfortunately, Tai couldn't. She let her feelings to run wild and unbridled. You destroyed everything I believed in, she screamed, her voice cracking beneath the weight of her grief. Online, the feelings become more intense. Her face twisted in disgust as Marcus stretched out, his fingers trembling, trying to grasp her arm. Don't touch me, she screamed, her voice unsteady but firm. As the night wore on, the anxiety only grew as Evelyn lost it, sobbing uncontrollably and whispering through her tears. Tai's response was cold, and her sadness had now turned to steel. Tai deserves better, one fan wrote. Another said, this is the ultimate betrayal. Arguments continued over whether Evelyn was actually carrying Marcus's child, whether the whole thing was overblown, or whether this was the year's most outrageous reality TV event. You didn't stop, because you were afraid. Marcus bowed his head in embarrassment as Chantel shook hers in disbelief. This is unforgivable, Chantel whispered. The scene descended into chaos with accusations, shouting, tears, and silence blending until no one knew how to proceed. But it was clear that something had been irreparably damaged, and Tai's marriage, once thought to be strong and unbreakable, was now in ruins. You were only scared of getting caught. Those words echoed through the room like thunder, and no amount of apology could make it whole again. As cameras captured every tear, every scream, and every silent stare, fans around the world leaned in closer, feeling the weight of this moment, realizing that this was no longer just gossip but destruction, the kind of chaos that splits friendships, breaks families, and leaves scars that are hard to heal. And for Tai, this was the night her world fell apart in front of everyone's eyes. If anything, the fallout didn't stop that night. It had just begun. When Tai stormed out of the room, her tears staining her cheeks, the silence she left behind was oppressive. You've ruined everything. The betrayal was too recent, the tension too high, and some said that Tai would never forgive. But friends tried to pick up the pieces, but none knew where to start. Marcus sat slumped in his chair with his head in his hands, and Chantel stood tall, glaring at them both as if she were a judge giving a sentence. Look at what you've done, she said coldly. You've destroyed her. Evelyn sobbed quietly, her body shaking as if the weight of the truth had finally become too much for her to handle. Even though some whispered that maybe, just maybe, Marcus could find a way to explain himself, everyone knew deep down that the damage was irreparable. The following morning, videos of Tai's breakdown went viral, and fans were debating endlessly, dissecting every pause, tear, and facial expression. Look at Marcus's face, one fan said. One admirer responded, he's guilty, while another added that she put her phone down and buried her face in her hands, crying to herself, why me? The controversy had become public and relentless, and every notification felt like another stab in her chest. That night, Tai sat by herself in her bed, sifting through the influx of messages, scarcely getting any sleep. While some supporters encouraged her by offering prayers and love, others pressed her to respond to the claims directly. Why now? Why in this manner? Why now? Why in this manner? Meanwhile, Marcus was pacing the living room, looking for a way to reach her. He rehearsed his lines out loud like if he were getting ready for a performance. Tai, I just made a mistake. Listen to me, please, Tai. But when he saw her face, her broken expression, he paused. How can you ask for forgiveness when the transgression is this serious? Chantel, on the other hand, wasn't holding back. In a late-night live webcast, she spoke out to her supporters about how she felt. This Tai deserved the truth, even if it hurt, she stated, her eyes sharp and her voice forceful, sparking yet another online outcry. Family has been keeping secrets for far too long, she concluded. And because falsehoods don't deserve a peaceful place, I did say it in front of everyone. Ty ultimately emerged from her chamber as the sun rose, her face pale and her eyes stained with tears, but her countenance had taken on a new determination. While some fans praised her bravery, others criticized her as harsh and preferring drama over compassion. He appeared to be a man who had been sleeping for weeks when he came into the kitchen and saw Marcus waiting. He stood up right away and said, "Ty, please," in a trembling voice. "Let me explain." She raised her hand to silence him and said, "Describe." "Describe what?" "That you deceived me by involving my own relatives. That you remained mute while she revealed your secret." Marcus winced as though each of her scathing words were a slap. No explanation can justify this. A few seconds later, Evelyn appeared, her hair disheveled and her face puffy from crying. She began to say something, but Ty cut her off before she could finish. "Don't," she said angrily, and the tension rose again as the air grew heavy with unspoken words. "I can't even look at you right now." Marcus made one final attempt, and when he said, "It was a mistake," he was panicked. "I promise it wasn't meant to occur," he said. "It was a single night, and it meant nothing." The tone of Ty's harsh laugh was out of line with her sorrow. "Nothing you say is going to ruin our marriage. There's nothing you call humiliating me in public. Nothing." Even when her voice cracked, she held her ground. "You didn't just betray me, Marcus. You have deceived us. Together with her, you achieved everything we dreamed of and all we built." Evelyn, tears running down her face, said, "I never wanted, I was terrified. I didn't plan it." Chantel, who had been listening from the doorway, cut in. "Are you afraid? You weren't afraid when you made the decision. You didn't say anything because you weren't afraid. Don't act like you just went through this. You made it possible." Her voice was glassy. And Evelyn crumpled under the weight of her words. Supporters were taking sides. Others were angry at Marcus, some were disgusted by Evelyn, and a surprising number were against Ty for publicly expressing her pain. Some argued that she should have dealt with it privately, while others resisted, saying that there was nothing wrong with her and that she was the one who was duped. The division only served to fuel the fires and made it harder to escape the controversy. When Ty and her mother finally sat down that night, the woman who had always protected her whispered and gently held her hand. Ty went into her mother's arms, but the tears started again. "Baby, you don't have to make decisions right now," she said. "Simply take a breath." "I don't know how to move on from this," she continued. "But every time I close my eyes, I see them, hear Chantel's words, and feel his regret. Take it one day at a time." I remember thinking of her sobbing as her mother kissed her forehead and whispered, "You will get through this. You're stronger than you think, and you're not alone in anything." The tension within the home was intolerable when darkness descended once again. Marcus sat quietly, gazing at the floor as Evelyn stayed out of sight. Chantel remained ferocious, glaring at them and making scathing remarks every time she saw them. Although Ty felt a surge of power after hearing those words, she wasn't sure whether strength was sufficient this time since the wound was still too fresh. Fans wondered whether Ty would leave Marcus and what her next move would be. Would she never speak to Evelyn again? Or would there be a startling turn of events that nobody anticipated? The world watched, waiting for the next update, the next revelation, as her sobbing reverberated through the walls of her chamber. In such circumstances, survival was more important than disloyalty. Ty had to confront the thought that the marriage she once loved could already be gone, and the days that followed appeared to be a haze. She was reminded of everything she had lost every time she glanced at Marcus, and every room in the home appeared to be haunted by memories. She was so deeply wounded by the betrayal that the smallest reminder made her heart hurt. Marcus cooked her favorite foods, left notes on her bedside, and even played the tunes they used to dance to when their love was impenetrable in an effort to reach her. But Ty's silence spoke louder than anything else, and the trust was gone. Her eyes always spoke more than her words when he gazed at her. But Evelyn retreated entirely, seldom leaving her room and avoiding everyone. No one went to comfort her at night, but she could hear muffled tears coming through the walls. No one was sure which side to support, and the home had turned into a battleground of betrayed allegiances. The only person who didn't hesitate to speak out was Chantel, who would constantly exclaim, "You both should be ashamed," when she saw Marcus or Evelyn. One morning they sat calmly at the table and said, "Ty is suffering while you sit here like cowards." Ty couldn't help but become upset when she saw Marcus, despite the fact that her mother was her pillar of support and insisted that healing took time. But the world remained relentless outside their home. "You broke something precious," she told him bluntly, "and I don't think it can ever be fixed." Fans examined every facet of the debate, from Ty's tears to Evelyn's silence, and it became the most talked about topic on the internet. Fan pages posted somber music and tearful edits of Ty, podcasts speculated about whether Ty's marriage was finished, and gossip websites speculated about Evelyn's pregnancy. "Team Ty forever," read another remark, while another picture went viral with the words, "She gave him her all and he gave her betrayal." Ty told her fans, "I never thought I'd have to share something like this." One evening, while sitting alone in front of her phone's camera, her eyes puffy but her voice composed, "I should be honest with you and not spread rumors. Yes, there are problems. Yes, I have gone through unexpected pains, and I don't know what the future may bring." Because of her openness, support came in. Thousands of kind and supportive letters flooded in, but others simultaneously sought solutions. Was Evelyn really expecting Marcus's kid, or was the rumor exaggerated? Ty said nothing. She said plainly, "All I can do is take it one day at a time." Her comments spread like wildfire. Fans continued sharing them with the comments, "She's so strong and this woman deserves better." However, Marcus and Evelyn's silence further fueled speculation. In the house, Marcus was becoming desperate. One night, he cornered Ty in the kitchen. It had no meaning. It was a mistake, a moment of weakness, and he pleaded, his voice shaking. "Please, Ty, you have to believe me." Ty looked at him with a pale face, yet she had a scorching look in her eyes. "A mistake. You claim that it was a mistake to destroy our marriage. When you make fun of me in public, you see it as a show of weakness." Even when her voice cracked, she held her ground. "It was everything, Marcus. It indicated we were going to die." He fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "Don't say that. Don't leave us." But Ty stepped back, her hands trembling. "You left us as soon as you made contact with her." Hearing the exchange from the hallway, Evelyn broke down in tears once again. Although her tears filled the silence, Ty's face remained cold. "You don't get to cry, Evelyn," she said rather plainly. Evelyn slumped to the ground and covered her face with her hands. Just as she was about to add, "You don't get to play the victim when you're the one who caused this." Even if the internal drama was unbearable, it wasn't over yet. Chantel made a comeback to social media and addressed the public directly this time. "People are always asking me why I revealed it in that manner," she said. "Furthermore, my answer is direct since lies thrive in silence. While the truth lingered in the background, I couldn't stand by and watch helplessly while my relative lived in a false marriage." Her comments made things even more tense. She was criticized by some supporters for meddling in such a personal subject, while others hailed her as a hero. All the meantime, Ty's pain just became worse. She no longer ate meals in their full form. Her nights were restless, and she had lost her once bright smile. Her friends were worried and pleaded with her to get away from the chaos and go on a far-off vacation, away. But Ty only shook her head. "I can't get away from this. I have to accept it." Everything was still shrouded in doubt. Did Evelyn really conceive Marcus's child? There was a deafening silence between them both. There were rumors that Evelyn had seen the doctor in secret. Many people said that it was all a lie, but no one knew the complete truth, and the only thing keeping the tension high was the lack of answers. Meanwhile, Ty started recording her feelings and heartbreak in a journal. "I don't know how to forgive, and I don't know how to forget. I just know that my heart feels like it's in pieces, and every piece cuts me when I try to pick it up." She wrote in one note, "I don't know how to forgive, and I don't know how to forget." The fact that someone close to her shared these private words only made people feel worse for her. There was still no resolution after many weeks. Marcus clung to the notion that it would all be over. Even as Evelyn's regret deepened, Chantel continued to fuel the flames. Ty was caught in the middle, burdened by the unbearable and the shattered remains of her marriage. She questioned if trust would ever be possible for her, and as the tension grew, so did the rumors. News of new evidence began to spread, whispers that said they could prove the baby's secret beyond a reasonable doubt. Fans clutched their breath, waiting for the next explosion, knowing that this drama was far from over. As reports of further evidence spread, the atmosphere around Ty's world became more sinister. Every headline yelled her name. In every widely shared post, the truth was speculated. Rumors were no longer the only thing. It seemed ready to explode, destroying everything in its path, like a hurricane building. Ty couldn't browse her phone without seeing other people scrutinize her own suffering. Then one night the storm came. An audio recording that was allegedly recorded during a private argument between Marcus and Evelyn began to circulate online. When Marcus's voice could be heard on the video saying, "You promised me no one would ever find out about the baby." The recording became public, which prompted Evelyn's hesitant answer. Fans keep repeating, "I didn't ask for this, Marcus. I didn't want it to happen this way," contesting its truth. But most people knew what that meant. It wasn't just rumors. And there it was, his infant, one dot. When her friend emailed her the recording, Ty first listened to it incredulously. She listened again as her body shook, and then she dropped her phone onto the table. She started crying. But this time, their origins went beyond simple suffering. They were born out of rage. He was not truthful. She was seated next to her mother, who laid a hand on hers and said, "Ty, you don't deserve this." Her voice cracked as she spoke to me once again, and he persisted in lying in spite of my requests for the truth. "Peace, not deceit, is what you deserve." But Ty pulled her hand away, standing up and pacing the room. "Peace in your heart? How can I find peace when the person I trusted formed a family that is different from ours? How do I breathe? Every breath reminds me of his betrayal." Meanwhile, Marcus tried to minimize the harm. Despite his admission that the recording was altered and taken out of context, supporters were unconvinced and angry comments filled the comment sections. "Ty deserves the world," one commenter said, while another added, "Context or not, he also destroyed her heart." As hashtags like Manmat Justice for Ty and on Marcus Lee's gained popularity overnight, Evelyn stayed silent, and her silence had more impact than any denial. She was seen by photographers leaving a doctor's office late at night. When Ty faced Marcus one more time, her heart hardened and her voice frigid. The tension in the home reached a breaking point. I listened to the video. "As you desperately attempted to cover your tracks, I saw the world laugh at me." Marcus, tell me immediately. She covered her face with her hood. The images did nothing except add fuel to the flames. According to one site, she is definitely pregnant. The phrase did, in fact, cut like a dagger through Ty, and she stumbled backwards as if she had been hit, her hands trembling. "You destroyed me," she replied in a steady but trembling voice. "You destroyed us." Marcus squatted, eventually lowering his head, and a thick, oppressive stillness descended between them. She turned away, tears running down her cheeks. And Marcus knew there was no going back. "So it's true," spat forth Chantel, who hurried into the room without holding back either. "Everything. You are the father." "How could you, Marcus? How could you do this to Ty?" Her fury was raw, her voice echoing through the house. Marcus tried to respond, but Chantel silenced him with a raised hand. "You're not allowed to clarify. You are not able to repair this. You took a stand." The family was beyond repair. Ty packed her things, her mother and Chantel helping her fold away the life she had built. Each piece of clothing, each framed picture felt like a reminder of love that had turned to ash. Marcus begged her not to leave, falling to his knees once again. "Ty, please don't leave. This should not be your final moment." Ty shot him one final look, her eyes resolute but furious. "This was the last time you betrayed me. I'm just catching up." As soon as the word got out, cameras saw Ty exiting the home with Chantel at her side, with her luggage. Evelyn disappeared from the public spotlight, which stoked rumors that she was hiding her pregnancy. When headlines declared that the marriage was officially over, fans flooded the internet with encouraging messages, applauding her strength and even planning get-togethers under the slogan, "We stand with Ty," turning her pain into a movement of solidarity. Some accounts said she traveled to stay with distant relatives, while others conjectured she was preparing for a quiet birth away from the chaos. Ty's heart was still raw, but she found courage in her fans' support and her family's everlasting love as she embarked on a new journey. Whatever the reality, her silence just added to the mystery. Marcus faced the worst criticism of his life, with followers who had formerly admired him now condemning him as the villain. Sponsors severing their connections, and his social media accounts flooded with irate comments. "I am not defined by my pain." Fans continued to argue, speculate, and wonder what would happen next. Would Ty ever forgive Marcus? But the drama persisted. Would Evelyn be the only one to raise the child? Would we ever know the whole truth about the audio? The post, which became her most loved post ever, was a testament to her ability to bounce back from setbacks. Require a conclusion. No easy fix, but instead left the world split. Emotions heightened and questions unsolved. Additionally, the specter of betrayal hung over Ty as she embarked on her uncertain future, serving as a warning that love might sometimes burst into shards rather than just fading. The marriage that had seemed to be impenetrable was now in ruins as a consequence of a secret, as well as the weight of deceit, betrayal, and shattered trust. The only thing that is known after all that has transpired is that this narrative has left everyone very disturbed. Although the future is unknown, the most significant issues still stand. Will Ty ever fully heal from such a horrific betrayal, or will her trust be forever damaged? Family bonds were broken down as a result of treachery. Will Marcus make an effort to restore his reputation, or has it already been ruined? Evelyn, what about her? Will the quiet merely fuel rumors, or will she come out and reveal the truth about the baby? What are your thoughts? Is Marcus's treachery forgivable, in your opinion, or does it deserve to be forgiven? Will Ty be able to find peace and move beyond the heartbreak? In the future, what part should Evelyn play? One another controversy. This is a pivotal moment that has changed the story for all parties. After then, fans worldwide are unable to stop discussing about. Friendships have broken down, the family is divided, and the consequences of this secret are only now becoming apparent. Please press the like button. Subscribe to the channel and make sure to hit the notification bell if this tale stunned you as much as it did us. This will ensure that you don't miss the next big update. You'll want to be there when the next revelation is revealed because the drama is far from ended. Your thoughts are important in this continuing conversation.